Welcome to Ocean Chicks Films.
Welcome to the Ocean Chicks Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Karen, and today in the broadcast studio we have Garrett from the YouTube channel Born2BeRad. Garrett covers 80s and 90s films and pop culture on his channel, does live streams, and is co-host of the Rad Pack podcast. So sit back and enjoy the show, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Welcome to the Ocean Chicks Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Karen, and today on the show, I'm super excited to have a fellow movie reviewer and physical media collector, Garrett from Born2BeRad. Hey, Garrett, how's it going?
Karen, what's going on? Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. We've never done any kind of collaboration before, so this is cool. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be here too, because this is very, very cool. I'm really excited to talk to you. Tell us all about your channel and the Rad Pack.
Yeah, my channel's at Born2BeRad, and basically what I do there is I talk about all things movies, nostalgia, collecting. It's horror, but it's also at the same time a lot of 80s and 90s pop culture and other movies around that time that I just grew up with and loved then and still love now. So when it comes to my channel, you can see things like unboxing of collectibles and obviously movie reviews and physical media pickups. And I do a series where I have guests, other content creators on, and, we talk. I also have a podcast called the Rad Pack with another two YouTubers, My Killer Podcast and Movie Watch Daily. And, we have a podcast where we interview people. We talk about specific movies that we all grew up with, and we just have a lot of fun with that. So I have a second YouTube channel as well, just for the podcast, where you can see the video versions of our audio podcast. So That's what I'm up to.
Yeah. I love, you guys are a great team, super high energy, really, really fun. Your set completely suits you.
Hey, I appreciate that. And it's funny because I didn't know them. I've only known them for a little over a year, and it's kind of a wild story. Like, I've only been in the YouTube and podcasting. The podcast thing actually just started in January. Like, we changed everything over to an audio podcast and just to try something different with the Rad Pack brand. And I started my channel at the end of 2020. And I probably met Justin and Mel, I'm going to say maybe 2022 at the beginning. Like, I came across their channels, and for some reason I just really vibed with them and like their aesthetic of how their set looked and, the way they were acting. I just felt like they both felt like myself so much that I think I reached out to Mel and Justin reached out to me, or vice versa, but we all kind of got together, did a couple collabs, like solo collabs. And then, which again, we can talk about this whole horror YouTuber of the month thing because you're hanging with that right now, but that's how the Rad Pack started, which is a weird story because Justin, who at Movie Watch Daily, nominated me and Mel for that. And it was like, so it was like a grind. Like, we were neck and neck all the way through to the end. It was like up to her and I, and I was doing a lot of shows with a group called the Dead Pit, which I don't know if everybody knows them. They've been around since 2005. So they were kind of like, telling me like, if you don't win this, you can't stream with us anymore. Like, it was like this whole big storyline we created. Right. So it got the people that watch the shows to vote, because it's like, if they didn't want me to come back on the Dead Pit shows, they wouldn't vote. If they wanted me to come back, they'd vote. And we kind of made a big game out of it. And in the process, I kind of put something up and said, well, if you guys kick me out, I'm going to start my own group. And that's kind of like where the idea spun. And then after that ended, I ended up winning. And then Mel, Justin, and I chatted and we're like, why don't we do something together and start a group? And that's kind of how the Rad Pack thing was formed. So if it wasn't for that horror YouTuber of the month, the Rad Pack probably wouldn't ever been a thing. And, it just kind of all worked out. And I'm kind of a person where if something felt so right and it just kind of worked, that it's like, all right, this has legs, let's run with this, because it wouldn't have fell into place so easy.
Speaking of that, I'm glad you reached out a little bit to me about the horror tuber of the month, because I think it had kind of gotten to a place where it was being downplayed, not really looked at as much. Nobody even knew where it came from or what was happening with it. So I looked into it a little bit more and found out where it was coming from, and tried to pump it up a little bit more to get it going again, because it is kind of a cool thing to be able to, nominate your peers and kind of, support them and praise them for what they're doing and acknowledge them for what they're doing. So I'm pretty excited to see where it'll go now, actually. There are a few other contests floating around right now, though. Different ones. Entertainer of the Month, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good for us to do that with each other, though, to build that community, right? Instead of just focusing on yourself all the time, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly that that was a pivotal point in my YouTube journey so far, because again, Justin happened to come across it. I had briefly known Justin. We did like a stream together at one point talking about Just One of the Guys, which is a movie that him and I both love. And when he got nominated, he had to nominate 4. And luckily I was one of the people he nominated. And then Mel was somebody else he was watching and nominated her. And again, I think what happened was obviously when you have 4 people going and plus the person who won that nominated you, then all the other 4 contenders or whatever, and having all their viewers come in and check out these channels, like you get a lot more eyeballs on you that maybe didn't know about you before, because they're coming in from all different angles and, really using it to hype up and people really getting involved and then them sharing it. Like, I think it's a real cool thing to get these smaller channels, like to just gain some momentum, because again, there's a lot of cool channels out there that maybe just started a little bit late. Like I look back and I was like, I wanted to start YouTube in 2010. And for whatever reason, there was always an excuse on why it didn't happen. Well, that took me 10 years to finally do it, and I'm thinking to myself, man, if I was starting in 2010, like where could this be right now? Because it wasn't as large as it is now. Like there was only a handful of channels out there that people were following, where now there's a lot of people out there, and even more than I thought when, I actually recently thought to myself, where is this horror YouTube of the month? Because it was such a cool thing that I feel like I lost track of it after the person who won mine and then someone who won theirs. And then it kind of just felt like it vanished. And I was like, I wonder if I could take it upon myself to restart it, because I know a lot of these channels that I'm following right now that could use that support, that are doing really good stuff. And then I went on like a wild goose chase to find this thing. And that's when I came across you, because, you were one of the nominees for the new one. And it was funny because I say this to the community of people that I'm around all the time, is I think, we all are intertwined and I feel like everybody knows everybody. But when I was searching for this thing, I was in like a whole nother realm of like the horror movie community that I did not know anything about. And I was like, where am I? Like, I felt like I was on a different planet. And then you start to realize like how many people are out there. And I'm looking at the comments and I'm like, I don't know any of these people that are commenting in the chat. I know none of these people that are nominated for this. I don't even know the person who won this recently. Like, that was just so wild to me. And that's why I wanted to reach out, because I'm like, wow, there's just a whole nother realm out there where I think from this universe and this universe come together. It's like, there's so many more people that the eyeballs can kind of, check out and be like, hey, wow, there's a lot more people out there than this little circle that we're in.
Oh, absolutely. I'm amazed every day lately how many cross connections there are, actually. And I'm like, I'm 2 steps away from someone that I've idolized when I first started and really looked up to. It's just crazy. But yeah, I think it is good to do this. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with you even developing another kind of contest yourself and kind of, maybe changing it, modifying it a bit and amping it up, considering all the different groups that are happening. Actually, too. I don't think there's anything wrong with you doing that.
Oh, definitely not. I think that actually helps too, because the Rad Pack just actually, we just had our 1-year super show stream. And during that stream, we announced a community challenge. It was, hey, do a video talking about we called it the Rad 9, your nine movies that you grew up with that were just on constant repeat, growing up through your childhood, that you could have said, hey, this really got me into really enjoying movies. And we threw it out there, and it's been such a huge thing for us. Like, so many people are doing the videos or posting a stack on Instagram and tagging all of us. Like, it's been really, really going well. And it's one of those things too, where a lot of these videos that we're getting tagged in are people that I didn't even know existed in this realm. And they said, I'm doing this for the Rad Pack Challenge, but I saw that it was being done through this person who then found it through this person. So it's trickling down to like other people that had no idea who I was or the Rad Pack was. But like you said, doing these kind of little challenges or contests or whatever really just gets people out there, and you find a lot of new faces and channels and stuff.
Which brings me to another point. There's a lot of theories as to why YouTube is hard and why things are not working in the algorithms and all these things. Where you're at now, tell us a little bit about how many things you're juggling with your channel. Because I think a lot of people don't think about that. I personally think you got to keep having fun with it. You got to have fun, but it's hard work.
It's very hard work. It's very hard.
Put a lot into it, and everybody that's above you that's doing a lot more stuff is working incredibly hard at it to get there and juggling things. So you said you introduced the podcast element to it this time. What are all of the things that you're kind of doing with your channel? Because I know I have a lot of stuff. I've had to cut back a bit. I take lots of breaks actually lately because I get overwhelmed with requests and people wanting to jump on lives and collab with them and that kind of thing. So yeah, what are some of the things that you're doing now from when you first started?
Obviously now, you kind of, once you start getting a lot of people that, if you hop on a live and all of a sudden there's close to 100 people on there, and still me being considered a smaller channel, I'm like, wow, this is amazing that there's 100 people that I didn't know 2 years ago that found me, however, and they're doing super chats and they're doing requests and they're interacting with each other, and it's like, I couldn't, sometimes I don't even announce that I'm going live, and it'll just be randomly 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, okay, if I can't get any content out this week, I'm gonna go live for like an hour, because if I don't, I'm gonna be dormant all week, and I don't want that. So like, I'll go live, and all of a sudden you just start seeing like 70 people jump in at like midnight in an unannounced live, and you're like, wow, like, whatever I'm doing, people are digging. So that's a motivator for me. And obviously it's hard because, I have a family, I have a full-time job. And now this started off as fun, which it still is. And I haven't reached any burnout with this at all. So I can say that I'm really fortunate for that, because I do know a lot of people that have been doing it that have already been burnt out for either just trying to juggle too much, or maybe they just didn't see things growing as fast as they thought it would. So all these different reasons just get them to kind of burn out. For me, it's just like, it's still fun for me. I was always a very social person with a big group of friends. After COVID and the pandemic, everybody's, they all have families, they're doing different things. It's harder to get together. So when I started this, and you start meeting all these people that are very like-minded, even more like-minded than your close group of friends that you've been hanging out with for the last 20 years. Because sometimes I feel like I'm very different than everybody I'm friends with. And then when you meet people that are like, wow, these people are very similar to me, I can talk to these people all the time. And to just come here and set up and just press play, you don't have to worry about, what time are we meeting? When do you have to leave? When do we have to be home? And there's none of that. It's just set up, boom, we good, let's go. And it's like you're hanging out with people. And I think that to me is super fun. But when it comes to just juggling family, work, and like you said, not only are you trying to get your own content out there, but now you have other people that want to do collabs as well. And that's the one thing I will say that I've been a little bit more picky with as of late, because I'm taking on more, because now the Rad Pack is something that we want to focus a little bit more on. So it's like, well, we got to record twice a month, one live show, one podcast episode that we can edit and make a video as well. And that takes time. And when you're working with two other people that have schedules, like to get those in place, it's hard every month to try to do that. And we have to like sit down at the beginning of the month. What's the dates? Okay, here's these dates. All right, let's set these first. I'm not taking any, collabs with anybody until we get these set in stone. And then obviously I do a lot with Dead Pit. So we have shows together. So I've been really more picky on whose streams I'm going on, just because I've got so much going on. So that's the one thing I've stepped back with. I used to just say yes to everybody and just get out there, meet new people, have fun. But now it's like my circle is just getting a little smaller. And it's mostly just because I've got too much going on my plate that I don't want my channel to suffer because I'm too busy on other people's stuff. So that's the one thing I would say I've stepped back with. But as far as everything else, it's a process, because not only is it YouTube, but Instagram's big for me, right? Like getting out there in other avenues to funnel people to see your channel, right? So you've got to be pretty active on Instagram. You got to be pretty active on. I was never on Twitter really. Like I have a Twitter, but I've never really been active on it. So that new thing just started, Threads or whatever. So I hopped on that early just because I'm a nobody on Twitter. So I'm like, well, maybe if I get on this early from Instagram, it'll at least have some kind of traction. But I'm already kind of sick of it, to be quite honest with you. Like it's just not me. Like I like the Instagram thing with the pictures, the videos, you know, you scroll down, you see everybody's collection, all this. I go on to Threads and I'm like, it was just like Twitter. For me, Twitter was, you got cool information, but then it's like, okay, complaining, arguing. And I'm just like, I don't have time for this. So
and lots of random tagging too. I find that just kind of like, I appreciate people tagging me and sharing me out, but it just doesn't really go anywhere. You're not interacting or expanding on what you're doing. You're just kind of tagging.
Yeah. And it's also just one more thing to worry about every day. So, I mean, I'm kind of still in it because it's still new. And I'm just like, well, you know, I got on right away. I'll post a couple things, you know, during the week just to kind of see what happens. But I don't hang out on there. Like you'll see me on Instagram, like liking people's stuff. I post and get out of there because, again, I just feel like it was just a little bit too much like Twitter, which is something I just wasn't into. I like the YouTube thing. I like the Instagram thing. So I'm kind of keeping myself more or less there. So, but again, like you said, adding Threads now is just something else to add to the table of work you have to do, you know?
Do you know what I use it for? Every single platform I use as a way to promote and post out, share out whatever I'm doing next. My videos, collabs, lives, or whatever. That's kind of what I do. I just go around the circuit and do that. Yeah, that's what I use it for.
Now, do you know if you post on Instagram, is there just a button that'll just automatically shoot it to there yet? Do you know if that's the case?
I don't know. I think he created it so fast. He hasn't really perfected it yet, but that's a good question. That would be good actually if he did that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think so actually. They're connected. But I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look into that. But yeah, that would be a good thing because it'd be a lot simpler, wouldn't it? You could just
you just post one place and it automatically shoots it to the other. Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah. So when you're working on content and that kind of thing, you're planning like about a month ahead or months ahead?
It depends. So like for the Rad Pack, for instance, I already know what the rest of the year looks like. So we're already, I mean, maybe not all the dates are set, but we know, hey, here's the show. This is the live show concept we're doing in July. Here's the one we're doing in August, all the way to Christmas. We already know like what we're doing per month. It's just setting those dates. So I like doing that just because, again, we can prepare accordingly, like, because we already know what's coming. As far as like another series I do called Rad Company, where I do have like other content creators come on, I already have a lot of that booked out for probably like a couple months with dates and whatnot. And then everything else that I'm doing is just kind of sporadic. Like we try to figure it out month of, like the Dead Pit stuff I'll do month of. And then my own stuff, it'll just be kind of sporadic. It's either I just jump on a random live or I have a couple different things I'm gonna be like, oh, I got to do a haul soon. So that's more like sporadic, just based on what my week looks like. But the big shows are always planned out at least a month ahead.
Right. Okay. Now I want to flip to something else because we're going to run out of time. Your collection. Okay. Sure. I saw that video like a month ago. I think it was that you did it. Maybe it was longer than that. My God. Because you don't just collect, you know, the physical media, you have everything. And the one thing that I remember seeing you showing off was the Tiffany doll that you waited a couple of years to get. How cool. Like that is just amazing. I just love that. So like another thing I want to say too is your room the video was really inspiring because of how you set up your room. It never dawned on me to just utilize the space that you have and create something like a room that's just amazing. That's your, like, I'm very visual. I have an art degree, so that's really important to me. I have tons of pictures all over the walls. Like it's just crazy because I have to have those visuals to inspire me.
Sure.
I love that you did that you just utilize every little closet and nook and cranny with your collection and display it that way. So tell us a little bit about your collection because like I'm just in awe.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a collector of movies and this kind of stuff for a long time. It's been probably about 20 years. So a lot of people will ask me, how did you get all this stuff? And it's like, listen, it's not overnight. Like, this took a long time. This is my third movie room per se in my life. The first one being my bedroom as a kid, right? Like, I put posters on the wall, had shelves with movies on them. Then the next one, I got a condo, I had one set up there, and then I bought this place, and now this is it. So it went through, it evolved, and you kind of learn as you were kind of going from place to place, like, oh, you know what, I should have did this last time, or hey, I should have, like, for instance, I knew the next one I was going to do the walls red. Like, I already knew that. Where my last house, I think my condo, I think the walls were like a gray or whatever, but like, I already knew that was going to happen. Once you get in, you see the space, you're like, okay, how can I make this work? And, it just kind of fell together. But I think what it comes to me is, like you said, I'm all about aesthetics, and I hate clutter. And it's sad to say that, it being in a situation where we collect so much, because there's,
Right.
I have clutter in certain spaces, but it's one of those things that, I'd rather not. Like, I want this to be a place where people come in and they say, oh, wow, like, not only do you have some weird and cool stuff, but like, this looks like a nice place to hang out in. It doesn't look like I'm sitting in some kind of like dungeon just with like movies piled all over the place and stuff like that. So it's very homey, which is a look that I was going for. But you've got to be creative, because when you do have so much stuff, you've got to utilize it as best as possible, or everything just gets toted away, and then it's like, what's the point of even having it? So what you see behind me is honestly like the most cluttered this room is. Okay. And I did that on purpose, because, okay, this is going to be my backdrop to my set. So if it's a little bit cluttered, it's okay. But in front of me this way is like my TV, my couch, and then his posters going around the wall. And I mean, I could, take every wall in this place and put DVD shelves, but I like this stuff. I like the artwork. I like this. So I don't want it to be just movies. Like, I've got a whole separate room of that. And if anybody who hasn't checked out my movie room tour, check it out, because I've got a part 2 coming, which is going to go into that library room, where that's where the majority of my movies and stuff is.
How many movies do you have?
I don't know, thousands. I don't know. It's like, it's funny, because DVD was really my prime collecting days, was around that era, like, late 90s, 2000s. Then when it switched over to Blu-ray, like, it took me a little bit to get there. And so when you go into that library room, the majority is still DVD. And what I'll do is, when I get something upgraded, I'll usually just take it out and tote it away. And so that's the majority of what's in that room, is mostly just walls of DVDs, horror. And then there's obviously a whole nother section of just the miscellaneous comedies, actions, all that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, it's the physical media thing is crazy right now. Like, it's all just upgrading, and it's kind of stressful for me now, because I'm like, man, I'm doing this all again. Like, I had the VHS, then I went to DVD, then I went to Blu-ray. Now I'm going to start upgrading to 4K. Like, how many times can I do that? And it's actually kind of stressful for me right now.
Is it?
So because it's like, I'm like thinking to myself, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? Do I really need this? Is this gonna look better, like that much better than what I already have? And that's like one of those things where it's like, for instance, Scream Factory is always on everybody's mind, right? Like, I had every single collector's edition they ever did from day one, and now all of a sudden everything's coming back out, and I'm like fighting with myself, like, do I need it? Do I just keep what I have? Do I want doubles? Do I sell the other ones? And it's, again, I think that's just collector mentality, where a lot of other people's like, dude, it's not that big of a deal.
Do you collect certain movies you really love, or do you like the covers of the packaging, or how do you collect?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, if it's the ones I really love, I'm getting, no question. I'll upgrade it. Like, for instance, the Lost Boys, Fright Night, anything like that. Like, I'm up.
By the way.
Thank you. I'd upgrade those any day. I'm about to pick up The Burning. It's a great movie. I love it. It's one of those ones that I'm like, do I need to upgrade? I've got that nice Blu-ray from Scream Factory, but I'm like, you know what? I love The Burning. I think 4K on a movie that takes place primarily outside, I think that'll just look incredible. So I'm like, I'll get that one. But there's some that I didn't like. The Craft, like, I didn't upgrade that one. Not that I don't like it, but I'm just like, I think what I have is probably fine. And then, that's kind of my mindset when it comes to that. And as far as like blind buying just based on packages, sure, I still do that, but it's mostly like in the Vinegar Syndrome realm of things that maybe I just haven't seen, that I'm like, okay, well, that looks like it could be pretty good in it. a lot of times it's 50-50 on if they're good or not. But at the same time, it brings me back to being a kid and going to the video store. And I didn't know anything, but based on what the cover looked like and the artwork, I'm like, I'll try this out. And sometimes you find hidden gems in there like you did as a kid. And I still like that kind of rush when you can find something that you're like, man, I thought I knew everything. And this is a great movie, you know? And so I still like finding those gems.
Right. Was your most prized collectible that you have? Like that you love?
I'm going to probably say my Lost Boys poster is probably because I have it signed by everyone except for Jamie Gertz and Diane Wiest. And you go back on it now and it's like Edward Herrmann passed, you know, Brooke McCarter passed, Corey Haim passed. And to had met all them and had them on that poster, it's just special to me because they're long gone and I was lucky to meet them before they passed. And you know, so I probably my favorite thing I own just due to the memories of that.
One of my favorite all-time movies. When I was in university, I did a drawing actually of the poster. I was just like, I don't have it. I don't have it still, but yeah, I was just, you know, Kiefer Sutherland and oh my gosh. Yeah, so cool. So why not Jamie Gertz? Does she not?
Nah, she doesn't do anything.
She doesn't go out.
No, not yet. I mean, hoping someday she does, but I mean, she I guess like owns like the Cleveland Cavaliers or some I don't know which basketball team. She like owns like a basketball team. I don't know which one, but yeah. So I mean, she's well off. So I don't think she's really diving into that scene yet.
You're right. Well, maybe one day you'll get lucky. And
I'm hoping. Hoping.
Yeah, and Diane Wiest. Oh my gosh,
that would be killer too.
Yeah, one day it could still happen.
I hope so. I mean, she's not getting any younger, sadly, but hopefully somebody can bring her out to like a Comic-Con event or something like that, because that would just be incredible.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to ask you the hardest question ever to ask anybody. What's your favorite movie?
Oh man.
Yeah, it's hard.
Okay, so do you want to say horror movie or just movie in general?
In general.
All right. I'm going to probably say my favorite movie in general is Back to the Future. I'm going to have to probably say. I just think that's just the perfect movie. You know, it's one that many people probably would say, but for some reason it was great to me as a kid. It's great to me now, and I just think the concept's just fantastic. And yeah, I guess all time that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah. For me, actually, if I had to think about it, I usually have to answer what horror because everybody asks me that, but I would probably say The Karate Kid.
Oh, that's top 3 for me, no question.
Yeah. I loved that movie so much. I was obsessed because I was in high school at that time and I was obsessed. And thankfully my best friend, we went to all the movies and everything together too. So yeah, just love that.
Now, where are you living? Where are you located?
I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada. See, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Do they ever do anything out there where like, you know, no conventions or anything out there where you are? See, that sucks because Ralph Macchio and all them are like, they're around here all the time.
My claim to fame with him is when I was younger, I think teenager, maybe like 13 or something like that. I did a drawing of him and I submitted it to Teen Beat magazine and they chose it and they published it. And it was an article. They sent me the magazine and the article had a centerfold of him and like a full page article of him in it at the same time. So I was like, oh my God, he's seen my drawing. I just know it.
So wait, you have a drawing in Teen Beat magazine?
I do. I don't know. I have to go through my boxes of stuff because that was a lot of years ago, man.
Oh my God, that would be so killer. I would love to know the issue. I'd hunt it right there.
I'm gonna hunt for it through my stuff. I feel like I have it somewhere. The last time I looked, I couldn't find it. But yeah, That's did. Awesome. And wow, it was such a moment for me. It was just like,
that is incredible. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be funny to actually see the drawing again to see what it was like. Cause it was so many years ago.
Oh man, that Teen Beat magazine would be framed on my wall at this point. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. I'm old, so it was a long time ago. You know,
eBay's a magical place. You know what I mean?
It been falling apart, you know. But yeah, I'll look for it though. I'll look for it.
For sure.
I must have it somewhere. It's just I have like cases of old files and stuff, you know, so I'll have to go through it all. But anyway, yeah.
That's an Instagram post when you find it. I want to see it. Tag me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think we're hitting the half-hour mark. So is there anything up and coming that's really cool that you're doing tonight? You wanna talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when this is coming out, but it might already be past by the time this happens. But anyway, you can go to my channel tonight. I have a series called Rad Company where I bring on other content creators, not only throughout YouTube, but throughout other, avenues of social media. And this one is Cody Leach, which is somebody who's really big in the horror community on YouTube. And he's somebody that a lot of my followers and subscribers have asked me to try to get on the show. And, luckily enough, he agreed to it. So we're going to talk for the first time tonight, which will be very interesting because we both obviously love movies and horror. And I take it he likes heavy metal as well, which, I'm a fan of that. It goes back, a long time in my life of going to heavy metal concerts and all that stuff. So I'm kind of curious to see where he, falls as far as his interest in that. And, just talk to him about his channel, how he got started, how it is where it is today. And I think it should be a fun conversation. But like I said, it's our first ever real conversation. So it's definitely one to check out for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll be on for a couple of hours. I'm going to check that out for sure. Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, definitely come in the chat and say what's up. Yeah. We'll shout you out. And as far as anything else big on the channel, the Rad Pack channel has we're calling it Rad Pack Extreme. That's next Tuesday night, and we're going to be talking about all movies that we grew up with that had to do with things like BMX, skateboarding, rollerblading, stuff like that. So we'll be talking about things like Rad, Thrashing, Gleaming the Cube. So we'll go through all that, which should be a fun show for sure.
Cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. And I will have all your socials, the Rad Pack, all of that linked in the description below.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I will get busy editing and get this episode up very, very soon. And we'll have it out as the video version and also the podcast, too. And I will let you know when that happens. But yeah, I said half hour. So we're at that perfect mark. Man, Garrett, this was so awesome getting to talk to you. And not just talk about movies, but talk about all the other stuff that you're involved in too. I really love that. All the best of luck to you in the future. I know you're going to be one of the big YouTubers.
Oh, come on.
Come on, you are. No,
it's all hard work. It's all hard work. Make a brand, keep pumping it out. And I think I'm just big in my mindset is always if the content's good, I think the people will find you eventually. It just takes patience. And I think a lot of people sometimes in this day and age just don't have it. And it's just keep pushing, keep putting out content that you think people are going to like. And I think the people will come and hopefully, after some people hear this, they come and check out the channel and see if it's something they vibe with. And it'd be great to have more people hop in the chat and say what's up. I love talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's so cool. Isn't it great? It's the greatest community ever. Like so fun. Such a great place. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thank you so much for stopping by. And you're welcome back anytime. Like I could have talked to you for another 2 hours. Easy.
We'll have to do another one for sure. Maybe even some kind of like live roundtable or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll do that.
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Karen.
Bye, Garrett.
Bye.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I sure did. It was really awesome finally meeting and chatting with Garrett. Go check out Born2BeRad on YouTube, as well as the Rad Pack. I'll have all of the links in the description box below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up because it helps me out a lot, and subscribe to the channel for more interviews like this. We've got more coming. You know we do. Live streams, our watch parties on the weekends, movie reviews, and I've got a couple of surprise things coming up. I'm working on a collab show with another fellow YouTuber that's going to be very exciting, so stay tuned for that. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for stopping by. I love you all, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.